you get it? Is it on?
Welcome to another episode of Taking Over the World with Ed and Aaron. What's up, buddy?
What is happening, good sir?
Nothing. It's been a pretty good couple of days.
Yeah? Why would you say?
Well, first, new book we got.
I noticed that when we came in today.
Shout out to my buddies Fred and Kevin.
Fred, besties of the show?
Oh, besties of the show for sure. They
What do you got there?
Next Level Book Club. So they send us books so we can read and get more educated about stuff.
Dude, it doesn't come in an audio version.
No, I don't know. I'm sure the book does. But really cool is they send this to us, and then they put a quote by the author on the cover.
That's a heck of a presentation there.
Yeah, it's a really nice presentation. And this quote is really actually pretty good. The reason the best in the world make consistently good decisions is they rarely find themselves forced into a decision by circumstance.
So let's get all educated on everybody. Break that down. What does that mean?
They plan. They have checklists.
Oh.
They are strategic about what they do, and that's how they make their decisions.
Well,
versus just waiting for, okay, what's today going to bring us?
Yeah, no, and I think you're spot on. It's funny because when we were in here, I opened the book randomly,
right.
And the page I started reading was about checklists. And,
yeah.
And, we always talk about checklists. I know a lot of coaching, you have checklists, and, they say, okay, do you have a checklist for this? We have checklists. If you go on a listing appointment, we just did a flowing checklist, right? Like this one is a buying checklist. And I joked, like, I need a checklist for life, right? But in the book, I just opened to the most random page anywhere.
Right.
It is funny how a lot of people, we don't prepare for things. We don't have checklists for things, and some people fly by the seat of their pants. They go, oh, I got it, or I'll remember to do that, don't worry. I think that's where I fall victim to. I'm like, oh, I'll remember to do that. And like, oh, what happened to this? I forgot to do it, right? Well, and I think, and right in there, it's like, when you, like pilots, they got a pre-flight checklist, right?
Right.
And I would be very uncomfortable if I knew a pilot was like, I'll remember my checklist. I'll just go through it. I'd be like, where's that checklist, bro? I'd actually like a copy of that checklist, please.
Can I make sure everything is actually checked on your checklist?
Can I walk this with you? Then they said even like a surgeon, there's a pre-operational checklist, right? So it's interesting that, you talk about professions like that where lives are on the line, and yes, maybe in real estate, lives are not on the line, but in a sense, they are from the biggest assets that they're going to purchase for the most part. And, why do we not have checklists for everything? And we do have a lot of checklists, but it just makes you think just like that quote, it's to just prepare, go through it, the practice, the prep, the checklist, to have everything dialed in.
So today we're going to get deep.
Oh, no.
Yes.
We're going like Dr. Phil up in here deep? Do I need to lay down?
No.
I feel like, do I get like a couch and a pillow or something?
No, but it's funny because we get this, right? Okay. About good decisions and stuff like that. And about checklists and about how to prepare for things.
Right.
And then I'm going to go to the place where I've never gone on this conversation.
Okay.
That we've been having for a while now.
I'm not sure where this is going.
No, you have no idea. I can tell you that.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to the form of religion.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes. So this weekend, right, I attend church via online. I don't actually go to a church because I attend early in the morning because I'm up early in the morning. And one of the things that they spoke about this weekend was when Jesus and the disciples got on a boat. Do you know that story?
I don't know where you know.
Okay, so they got on a boat. And Jesus fell asleep in the boat, and the boat hit high seas, high winds. It was just crazy. So everybody on the boat, the disciples started freaking out because everything was going to go. I mean, we were all going to die. We're going to die. Why are we on this? We're going to die. They woke up Jesus. Jesus, told the sea to calm down and be at peace and everything.
Turned water into wine. Gave everybody a glass. And he's like, hey, chill.
No. He talked to he actually just said, calm down, relax. And the winds calmed down, and everything was fine. But that's not that's the story that everybody equates to, right? Mm-hmm. He was able to calm everything down. But what I was listening to when I was listening to it this weekend is, yes, that's part of the story. But the story is that when you're given hard times, it's to give you better times in the future, like so you to learn from it. So have faith, keep going forward, don't give up. Like, so I thought that was a pretty accurate statement because they went from a place where he had performed a couple of miracles to a place where he performed a ton of miracles. And it wasn't even where his original destination was.
Right.
It was to a new destination, that the wind took him to the new destination. So, yeah, and it's kind of like the journey that we are on, the journey that people are on when they're moving and stuff. They get frustrated because things not necessarily don't go their way, but just relax. Like, things are going to be okay.
No, dude, I love it. I love it. And I heard something similar. Jesus wasn't involved in this one. But
Why doesn't
hey, listen. The man can calm the seas by talking to them. So more power to him. But I heard something to the fact is that if you create the chaos, you can control the chaos.
Correct.
And so people are always, like you said, like they woke up, the disciples woke up on the boat. They were freaking out. What's going on? They were in a state of chaos. And Jesus obviously had the opportunity to control the chaos. Maybe he's the creator and whatever, without going down that whole road.
Right.
But it's funny because a lot of time in our life, I think about it, and the last 3-4 days, I get through my roller coasters of emotions, and like you have good things going on, then you have like just a lot of stuff going on and chaos, then you're just like trying to priorities. Probably I need more checklists in my life, But it's funny because like part of the chaos for me has always been, not being able to say no to people like, yes, I'll help coach that team. Yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll do that. And you have all this stuff and you freak out, right? You feel overwhelmed. And then that's when my anxiety picks up and I'm just like, oh my God, I got so much shit on my plate, blah, blah. It's like, bro, you created all this, which means you can control this, right? Like you can opt to delegate some things or you can opt to step away from something. And, I think that's helped me out. And so I think that's a really good thing is that, when people get overwhelmed and all the stuff that goes on. And, and this industry is tough, it's not how they would like to make it, look like on HGTV or selling this or selling that place. Like, dude, you got to grind and, you got to make the calls. You got to push your comfort zone. And I think that's where I got into lately, with our whole challenge. Like, okay, now I got to get more out of my comfort zone, which for a while has been that content and, video creation. It's like, okay, you got to go back, kicking it old school, like more traditional prospecting. And, I started doing a lot more role playing in the car by myself, talking out loud, walking it through and going back to kind of how I started. But it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like, it's excitement. It's fun to be able to get back on the phones and have those conversations. But it's just different because, we've have different ways lately. And even the phone call I got right before we jumped on, I took it because it was a good buddy of mine and he asked what was going on. And I told him, he's like, let me handle it. Because I was thinking like, I got to take care of this thing today. And like, now this is weighing on my mind. We got travel arrangements. It's like, dude, just send me this and this. I'll take care of it all. I'm like, okay. That's dope. And like, I know he will take care of it too. Right. So I like it. I like where you're going with that.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, we like everything, right? So the new competition we have and every time we're trying to achieve, right? I think everybody who's a leader, right? A true leader takes the weight of, hey, I have to do this on my own. Right? When if we just break it down to all the people around you, it's really a manageable number. Right? Yeah, we don't have to go crazy. I don't have to do everything myself, but if we can make it bite-sized for everybody to jump in and do their share, I think it's great. And I think if we assist, right? If we stop trying to do it all, right? As leaders, right? As people that we're trying to get our team to be the very best they want to be, if we focus more on, hey, how do we get you better? Then they get better and they help achieve the goal rather than you're like, hey, I'm tunnel vision. I need to do this myself and F everybody.
Well, yeah, and I think it's easy. Yeah, dude, I agree 100%. And I think it's one of those things, so you have the competition, which is a good, friendly, solid competition, right?
Yep.
That's going to promote business. We just talked about it at the end in our team meeting a little bit ago. But I also think inside of the team, you continue to build, and I think you see it a lot, is that you have people that focus on the competition now within the team instead of the collaboration like you just spoke about. Right? Like I think I found myself, and I didn't have this conversation with you, is I think I found myself in the middle of that like last week, right? It's like I have some good stuff going on. I feel good about it, but it's like, man, like you were on a hot streak, and then we were doing this stuff, and I started thinking like, okay, well, Ed's got this, and they got that. I'm like, oh man, what do I have like right this second? You're like, yeah, I've got like 3 escrows, but it's like, and which probably 6 months ago, a year ago, or whatever, you're like, like, oh, multiple escrows in a month would be great.
Right.
Now, like, I mean, I'm literally looking at, well, 2, but 1 we should open today. And
Right.
it's just like, thinking like, okay, man, am I doing enough? I'm not doing enough. I need to pick it up. I need to pick it up. And I think that you start to compete against like someone like yourself. And I think it's good for me to think that way because like I want to be at a level where you operate, but you've been doing it for
20 years.
2 days or so, right?
Yeah.
You've been doing, and so I think it's good to have those mentors ahead of you to push to be like, this is what's capable of. But I think in the process, people have to understand is like, not everybody's built the same. Not everybody's like, you're going to have that compounded growth where it's just like, it's not a flat line. It's going to be an exponential boom, bam, like all of a sudden it's going to hit and all that work that you've been doing is going to pay
Right.
off. So no,
And I think that just everybody, everybody just focuses on their success.
right.
Right. And I think if we focus on how we can help each other and how we can do things to make other people better, then it grows exponentially.
So how do you think that plays a role into your favorite sport? Listen, I caught the Indiana Fever this weekend. They seem to be catching a little bit of fire. They seem to be on a little bit of, listen, I will be the first to admit I do not know much about the WNBA except for what you have taught me. And I caught it the other day. I don't know if it was yesterday or Saturday. I was watching something. I was like, oh. And this is what I think is so good for the sport, right? And you have these naysayers and like, well, she's this or she's that. Obviously, she's a stud. She was in college.
Right.
I get it. We all have to come to the next level, and there's going to be that learning curve. But there's no way a month ago, 2 months ago, or whatever, I see WNBA and I'm like, oh, cool, let's check this out.
Right.
But I saw Fever. I'm like, oh, that's Caitlin Clark's team, right?
Right.
And Grant, there's probably some other captain or it's not even probably
Right.
Caitlin
Yeah,
Clark's team, right? But I was like, oh, I'll check it out, see how they're doing. And then I got engaged. I started watching and, the boys started watching. And then even after Brooklyn's indoor soccer yesterday, we were playing basketball in the indoor court, which I dominated.
Did you?
I put it on him. It was like a 5-foot rim and I dunked on him. I ain't scared. But
You ain't scared?
no, but I think that's why it's so good to have, it's kind of like when we do prospecting. You got your traditional ways, you got your new ways, and you have to have that happy medium. I mean, you can't hate on one and hate on the other, and I think this is a great example. Like those people that want to hate on Caitlin Clark, well, she's getting people to watch because games are being sold out. I mean, I'm not saying one viewer is going to affect it all, but I sure as heck tuned in and watched it for a while.
Right. That's the thing. So first of all, I watched them because #GirlDad. Okay. So my daughter played basketball, so we watched Caitlin Clark and Paige Buckner playing college, and that was her thing. So we watched college basketball together. So that's why I watch college basketball, right? Especially women's college basketball because my daughter played, so I watched that. But it's unique that everybody, like when you're the talk of the town. And I'll use like us, not to compare us to Caitlin Clark.
Sure. I was thinking the same thing when you started to think. Right. I think I know where you're going with it.
So where we've been doing really well this year, and we're consistently helping families, and we're consistently helping investors, and we're doing what we need to do. Everybody's gunning for you, like everybody wants to topple you, right? And yes, it's friendly competition. And yeah, I think everybody's doing it out of, hey, let's to inspire their group or their team or whatever. But it's funny how like it's not love. Like it's kind of love, but it's more of like, yeah, we want to take you down. Like we just want you to not be in first place.
It's funny where people waste energy, right? Like or expend energy, whichever way. Some of them like you take Willow Manor, for example. That's good energy.
Right.
They put out their energy not to be like, oh, those guys, we got to beat them just because they're blah, 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 and this and that. Like, there's like, okay, let's use this as fuel, like you said.
Right.
But there are other people out there that put the energy into like, well, that's because they do this, or that's because they're doing this, or that's number's not right, or that can't be true. Like, they want to spend their, and I think it would translate to this whole Caitlin Clark thing, is that you got people that are like, great, this is good energy, this is good for the WNBA, we're selling out our arenas, hopefully the girl, that's going to mean more higher pay, better endorsement deals, right? And then you got these naysayers that are taking the same thing that's happening and they're putting the negative spin on, like, oh, she's only good because she played in college. Well, yeah, I mean, most people play in college. Like, very few don't play in college. Like, you don't see any NFL guys go straight from high school to the pros and be like, oh, well.
In basketball, you have a couple in the NBA, but not often.
Well, don't they have to play at least 1 year now? Don't they?
But they used to, because Kobe came straight out of high school.
Right.
So did LeBron.
So that's my point. That was like, now it's like, you like, why?
But the thing is, it's more of they expend the energy, I think, on looking at the negative versus like Willow Manor, right? So we're competing with them on a competition for the next 90 days on who's going to get more listings and who's going to do that. And we're both looking at it as, how can we up our game together, right? Which is the way I've heard a lot of people talk about the whole Caitlin Clark thing, right? If you think about it, if you play in an arena with 7,000 on average, 6,000 to 7,000 people on average is I think a WNBA arena. And now because of the Caitlin Clark effect, you're playing in arenas with 17 to 18,000 people.
Win.
Right? And the extra revenue coming in, the extra alcohol sales, the extra food sales, the extra.
If I go to the WNBA, I'm going to help those alcohol sales.
I'm sure you are. and there's people that are going to go and be like, hey, you know what? Like, I don't have any Aces gear. Right. I like the Aces. They're our hometown team, right? I like the Aces. I like people on the Aces. We have a couple posters because we've been to a couple Aces games.
Sure.
But if I went to an Aces game, I'd probably buy a jersey.
Right.
Kelsey Plum, love her. Maybe even Kate Martin, who played with Caitlin Clark, right? I'd buy a jersey.
Right.
So, okay, so you have jersey sales now. You have, I mean, there's so much coming from this. And I find myself like, because of Caitlin Clark and because we started seeing this phenomenon and the shooting and all that stuff, now you're starting to learn all the girls. Even in fact, my daughter came in and the other day and said, hey, I think it was Cameron Brink. They got injured and out for the season. And she came up and she's, Dad, Cameron Brink's out for the season. Like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I probably wouldn't have known who that was. I would have been like, testament to, I spend time with my daughter, so we watch sports together, and she played basketball, so it was a sport for us. It's kind of like you with your daughter. Like you love the softball World Series. You love it.
It's the greatest.
Oklahoma's like your team. Like they're great.
We've made a full conversion though. Brooklyn has gone from full Oklahoma now. Now she's all in on Maya Brady, Tom Brady's niece that plays. She plays at UCLA. She's the shortstop, and she's like a 2-time All-American, Pac-12 player there. She's a stud. So, but now Brooklyn has made the conversion. So
you went back to the Pac-12 now.
We're back to what was the Pac-12?
What was the Pac-12?
Yep. Matter of fact, she just changed her number, her softball number from 10 to 7.
Really?
So she's all in.
Okay. But it's the thing. So you coach, you attend the games, you watch it with your daughter, and you know what's going on in the game. So she's bringing more eyes to the game.
Yeah.
So what does it really matter? Like at the end of the day, if you're putting more butts in the seats, if you're selling jerseys, if you're selling concessions, if you're doing everything, what does it matter? Now, what I thought was interesting, which is I don't know if it's the haterade going.
Woohoo! Someone's drinking that haterade?
I don't know if it's the haterade going or if it's just there was another event going. But one of the only cities that have not gone to a larger venue when Caitlin Clark's been in town has been Chicago.
Really?
They haven't played at like the United Center where the NBA plays. They haven't played anywhere else. They just left it there.
I don't know.
So I don't know if it's haterade or if maybe something else was going on. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to know why it didn't happen. It's just funny that it didn't happen. It happens everywhere else. In Atlanta, in DC, in Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, we played at the T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Instead of the Michelob. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, and I think that just speaks to adaptation, right? It's like, in sports, in work, and everything you do, you got to be willing to adapt. Like if change is scary, right? Some change is bad. Most change is good. But what we do know is change is going to happen. And if you're the one that drinks the haterade and you're all negative Nancy about it, you're like, screw this. I'm not doing the change. I'm just going to stick with what I am because I'm alpha. right?
Right.
You're going to be the one outside looking in. And it's funny, we talk about sports and we look at all this stuff, and I think golf is another great example. It's like, you go back in the day to some of the greats, Palmer and Nicholas and all these guys, and I don't think fitness was top concern. You always see these old school pictures of them drinking and ripping cigarettes on the course and all that. And John Daly, now he's stuck to his guns and he's still doing it. However, golf evolved, right? From the clubs they used to the way they treated their bodies. And I think Tiger, it's hard to debate that Tiger didn't change the face of golf. He put fitness at the forefront. He started hitting the ball farther. He was, more in shape. And then you saw all the guys, like, they kind of had to adapt. And now, with technology and with body and how they treat their bodies, I mean, you're seeing guys crush the ball and scores low. But there's those people that just don't adapt. Like, well, I'm not gonna call people. I'm not gonna do an open house. I'm only doing video content, right? Like, well, now you're a one-trick pony, and there's a lot of things. Or you're like, well, no, video doesn't work. I'm just gonna get out the white pages and start calling people. Like, you know what I mean? It's like people who fail to adapt and understand that there's multiple ways, and the more that they can kind of spread out their prospecting or their avenues to be better at a game and get an advantage. I mean, the sky's the limit, and I'm excited for the WNBA, and I hope. I hope it does well. I hope we see a bigger push. And I hope it translates. Like softball, I think is one of those next sports that has not really translated to a professional market. They've got this like Athletes Unlimited kind of tour that they do, but, it's nothing like a baseball or nothing like that. And you see all these stud athletes that are playing in the College World Series, and you're just like, man, there's got to be something that people would watch more of.
Do you think that they can get a, I don't know, 10-team softball league, play 30, 40 games?
I'd like to think so. I think the problem is going to come down to, like you said, like attendance, like how many people are going to go sit and watch. In theory, it sounds great, and I could watch it on TV. You go to the College World Series, like actually the final baseball game is on tonight. Tennessee and Texas A&M should be a really good one. Tennessee's number 1 in the country. And we went to Omaha last year for the baseball, and that place, they're packed. So I get it, they pack the softball for College World Series. I just don't know how many people would go to smaller venues, like an Aviators to watch, like a college, like professional softball teams. I just don't know if the lure's there yet. But more and more, more and more of the Maya Brady's of the world and, putting it on a map and making it kind of a cool thing.
Well, you know what? It's funny because we talked about adapting, right? Look at the Savannah Bananas.
Oh, yeah.
They are the kings of adapting.
Dude.
They were losing money. They were about to lose everything. And they adapted. And they are now the hottest ticket ever.
Well, yeah. The guy that bought him, that Jesse Cole.
Yeah.
He says, like, I want to reinvent this. Like, he's like, yeah, we're gonna just do something different. We're gonna play it in a different way. And, they've gone from, small-time team out there from the Coastal League, I think they were in, to now this tour that they make. And, God knows how much money, and they sell out everything.
Did you go?
We ended up going on Saturday, but it's not the Savannah Bananas. So Saturday was the party animals against the firefighters.
Oh,
so
the firefighters a new one with a female coach.
So now there's 4 teams. Yeah, she was the coaching third base. So now there's 4 teams. So, and there's 2 tours basically. So for a while, like the running joke, and even when they did like the pregame, it was kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters, right?
Right.
Like the Savannah Bananas were the Harlem Globetrotters. Like every team you play, like it's just set up for them to lose and the Globetrotters win. And that's how a lot of people thought the Bananas was. And they've been very adamant that, like, listen, we do script like dances and certain performances at certain times, but when it comes to the gameplay, dude, like, there's nothing scripted. That's on, if they try a trick play, that's on them. If they hit a home run, that's on them. I mean, it's got to be hard to script, It's like, you hit a home run, you can't, like, not script that.
You can't say, okay, second pitch
that
comes down, it's going to be a fastball, you're going to hit a home run.
Exactly. And so now what it's grown into is that they have 2 tours. So this one was actually this year in Vegas was the Party Animals tour. So the Party Animals are kind of like, the second the second team. But they're growing in popularity, and I mean, shoot, they still sold out Las Vegas ballpark 2 nights in a row with 10,000 people. The cheapest ticket was $40. You know, so Braxton was going with some friends. Brooklyn was gonna have a sleepover. So I got home from like a day on the fields, and he's like, "Guess what? Take a nap because I got you something for tonight." I'm like, "Oh, what are we doing?" She's like, "Got your tickets for you and Beckham to go." You know, so we got him off StubHub.
Right.
So I'm like, "Oh man, I'm tired, but okay, whatever." And we went, but you figured just like you said, okay, it was $40. That was face value to get in. So you figured there's $80 for the two of us to go.
Right.
Okay, I got Beckham a Gatorade and a cotton candy. I had a couple beers. Next thing you know, I mean, there's another $40, $50. So, you know, that's $130. But like you said, I mean, we spent more in, you know, concessions than we did for the tickets,
Right.
probably close to. And then you got all these, you know, the swag and the souvenirs that all these kids are wearing. And, you know, and they changed the game. You know, they got kids out there warming up outfielders. You know, the guys like, oh, come down here. They're playing catch with them on the field. So I think it's going to take something like that to make it stand out a little bit. But I mean, listen, I think if nothing else, that shows you there's more than one way to do something.
So how many teams are there now?
So there's 4 teams now.
So it's the Savannah Bananas,
Yep,
the Party Animals,
yep,
the Firefighters,
yep,
and who else?
this team called the Visitors. But
So are they all from Savannah?
no, I don't think so. I think they're from random spots.
So
I don't know
maybe
exactly.
maybe we should start a team here called the Ogres.
I'm in. I saw
Like-
them make some pretty good plays over the weekend. I think I could do it.
I would that would be hilarious. We started a team in Vegas to play against them, and we're the Ogres.
They're pretty good. I'll tell you what. One of the cool things.
You'd have to get college players that for some reason didn't make it into the pros or division.
And I think that's what most
That's
of
what
them
they
are.
yeah. I mean, you got Coach R.A.
Coach Rack.
Rack.
Yeah,
Rack is
yeah. He was from.
he was in the minors. He
Yeah.
played in the minors and didn't make it and decided to just call it quits.
Yeah,
And Coach would do online coaching
yeah.
to kids and went out for a tryout and made it.
One of the cool things about the game on Saturdays, so the other team was the Firefighters, and I think they got a couple players that are flipping around a little bit too, because one of the guys in the Firefighters is one of the regulars on the Bananas. He's the barrel guy and
Right.
stuff, and so he came out. But dude, they brought in from right field. They brought in a fire truck that came onto the field as the firefighters took the field, like blaring the horns and the sirens.
No
and
way.
stuff. It was
Like a
pretty
real
cool.
fire truck?
Yeah, dude. They put that thing all the way on the field, dude. It was pretty cool. It was fun. It was good.
So you had a good time.
Yeah, we did. We ended up having a good time.
And they ended up reinventing how to make money and how to survive.
Yeah.
And how to take a funless event and make it phenomenal.
They took and they said, listen, at the end of the day, this is a kid's game. It has gotten too political and financially dependent at the major league level. The barriers to entry to get up there are so hard. Then they said, let's go back to making it a kid's game.
Making it fun.
Yeah, so I think that's what you have. You have the growing up a kid's game. You have the career path that is, you know, it's tough to crack, but obviously super lucrative if you can crack it. But it's like there's this middle group of good ball players, and they said, listen, okay, we can't make it financially lucrative for you, so instead of competing in that arena, let's go this way and see what we can do here. And they turned it back into a kid's game. I mean, it's cul-de-sac baseball out there. I mean, you got pitchers throwing, you got guys hitting, you got guys trying to do backflips and catches. I saw the center fielder from one of them was getting ready to get a line drive at him. He dropped his glove, pulled out his shirt. As the ball's like coming right at his chest, he tightens up his shirt and pops it. So the ball hits his shirt, pops it straight up, and he caught it barehanded. I was like, son of a bitch. I was like, I thought I was going to take your head off. But I mean, you know, they're putting the fun back in it. They knew what arena they could compete in and where there was a gap. And I think it's only going to get bigger, you know.
There's probably going to be, in the next 5 years, there'll be another 5 or 6 teams pop up.
Yeah, and I think here's the tricky part, okay? It's like you've heard me talk about these absolutely ridiculous, that's the brand, the sliding mitts, right?
Right.
And they put it out as like a limited time where you got to get online. So they create a sense of urgency.
Right.
My concern is that if they put out too many teams or too many games, that sense of excitement and that urgency to go see them could start to fade. You know what I mean? Because it is kind of a gimmicky thing, but they only come to Vegas once a year. So if they come here once a year, they sell out no problem.
Right.
So if you go to twice a year, okay, maybe you probably still sell out. The thing goes, if you have too many teams, I wonder at what point do you oversaturate the market and they're like, oh, okay, well, it's not like this cool, crazy thing anymore. It's kind of like, you know what I'm trying to say, you know?
Right, but is it like that now with the 4 teams?
I don't think so. I don't know.
So would it be like that with 6 teams?
Yeah, and I
8
mean,
teams?
shoot, the United States. I mean, between how big it is, I mean,
And if you
I think I
play
could support 6 or 8 teams.
And if you play in smaller
Yeah.
venues and smaller arenas, I don't know. Watch out.
And there's probably cities that don't have it yet either,
Right.
because there's only 4 teams. So if you go to 8 teams, maybe you get to every state once a year.
Maybe you get to go to some of these smaller Midwest places.
You can start seeing it pop up in Japan and Dominican.
It would be fun.
I think there's.
Watch out for the ogres. Coming your way.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
All right, buddy. Let's make it a great one.
I'm gonna go make some checklists.
There you go. Make a checklist.